The Latin Nexus Business Networking Group is a community-driven movement that is dedicated to connecting entrepreneurs, leaders, and visionaries from all walks of life in order to build a better and stronger community for all of us to live, work, and create a future for our families.
Hello, everyone. This is Jeannie Latin Nexus. Today, I'm bringing you this amazing presentation live to you from Pepe's Latin Bistro here in East Stroudsburg. And I have two amazing guests today for you. I have Carl and Steve with me, but I just want you to know a little bit of what it is that we're going to be bringing today. And I need you to understand that in the world that we're living today with safety, preparedness, and the responsibility, it does matter in today's day and age of getting the right knowledge, the right training, and to empower yourselves. So I hope that this presentation that is going live to you, you do find value in what it is that we are going to be speaking about. And yeah, I'm super excited to have Carl and Steve on here with us. And really quickly, if you can just introduce yourself, I would love that. This is our amazing audience at Latin Nexus on the PA Empowerment Network. So Steve, can you go ahead and just give a little bit of an introduction about
Sure. Steve Grandy, co-CEO of Arch Protection Services right here in the Poconos, and one of the instructors for Defensive Innovations. That's Carl's company that we partnered up with to help train our employees.
Okay, awesome. And Carl?
Hi, I'm Carl Mayo, partner of Defensive Innovations Firearms Training. My company is obviously paired up, like you just said, with Arch Protective Services. We're delivering real-world application training for the everyday citizen. We're also offering self-defense for women who are interested in becoming protected for themselves and their families.
Okay, awesome. And I know a few of you might be familiar with Steve or Carl here in our local area. And Steve is actually, he started in security. So I know that he does security. He does for a lot of churches and schools and different areas in the area here and also in New Jersey as well, right?
Soon to be New Jersey, but in the Lehigh Valley.
Okay, and what are some of the misconceptions that people have about what real security actually looks like?
I mean, security is multifaceted, so you've got quite a bunch of different avenues of concern, right? So it really depends on the application that you're dealing with, whether it's a school or a religious facility or even a corporate environment. Each thing has a different angle of attack, shall we say, or concern that needs to be addressed specifically.
And how did you start? How did you get into security?
Actually, I lived when I lived in New Jersey growing up. Right down the road from me was the Duke Estate, which was a 2,500-acre estate of one of the richest women in the world at the time. And I just happened to, a friend of mine was one of the bodyguards and asked me to join the security force there. And I was doing that while I was going to college.
And is there anything that you would say that kind of sticks into your mind of maybe an event that might have happened? That, because I know you said you went into it because someone kind of introduced you or told you about possibility of, but when is it that you created that real connection of that passion? Because we can all start businesses, but it needs to be like a tipping point where you say, you know what, I want to go full into this to make it a business or, you know, really get involved.
Right. Well, that was probably when I first started. We had a gentleman who was on property, on the facility, wasn't acting proper, something off with him. He was driving erratically through the area. We contacted our local police department. He actually drove like back into the property, one of our areas, and we were able to stop him. He almost went off an embankment with his vehicle. The police showed up, and he was actually having a medical event. His daughter came. He wasn't taking his medicine, you know, and it was that point you learn that you're there to kind of help everybody. You're not just there to protect, you know, your client. Sometimes you're protecting somebody else who just happens to be having an incident, and that one stuck with me. most, at least for back then.
So it's almost like a fight or flight, right? Because at the moment something is happening, and now
Well,
you
you have
kind
to
of
take
you
control
set
of the
yourself back.
situation. Yeah, you have to take control of the situation and assess what's going on, make the right decisions. And in this case, you know, it was recognizing that this gentleman was having a medical issue.
Mhm.
And he wasn't like drunk or
Mhm.
just on drugs or anything
Right,
like
right,
that.
right.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. And then Carl here,
Yes.
Carl, you actually came from Canada.
Yes.
Right? How long ago did you come from Canada?
Oh, geez. I moved to the States in the early 80s. We had spoken before. I actually moved to Brooklyn. I lived in Brooklyn for a couple of years. My father was in the steel business, just like me, and followed in his footsteps. So we lived all over the country growing up, and then we eventually got to Brooklyn in like 83. We lived in Brooklyn for about 2 years, and we moved down to the Jersey Shore, the Sand Hill area. And I stayed down there all the way till the end of 2024, and that's when we moved up here to Poconos.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. How do you like it so far?
I absolutely love it.
Do you love the nightlife here?
No, what I love about Northeast PA, it gives me a sense of home for me, since I come from the indigenous community and the native cultures. Connecting with the land is something that's very important for me. And really being able to create that sense of community, it's been a wonderful experience over the past 14 months since I've been here. The people I've been introduced to, such as you and Steve and John Lohman, parts of BNI. I really find that sense of community really means something here, and that's for me. That's true. It truly identifies with who I am.
Right. So a lot of us here in East Stroudsburg, we know you because of firearms, right? So how would you say that culture and community shaped like your beginnings into the firearms and building the relationships to educate them?
Okay, honestly, there's a story to this. Steve hasn't even told about this one. So back in 2020, when it was quite a year of political unrest within the country, I had just sold my steel company when I retired, and we were sitting around one day, and my wife's like, "I want to get a gun," and I was like, "Huh, interesting." So she's like, "I want to go to the range," and she bought a gun, and she's like, "Oh, my friend Danielle has one." I was like, "Why don't you bring Danielle?" She goes, "Well, she bought that thing 10 years ago and it's still sitting in the box." I said, "Really?" So I went to that first lesson with one of the instructors, and the instructor was like, "Wow, you've actually done a pretty good shot. You've never done this before?" And then just kind of the trajectory of it just kind of kept rolling along, and ended up becoming a USCCA instructor. And I realized that the curriculum was kind of set up within that community fashion as well, where we're all just kind of helping each other. And then that kind of rolled into my training with special operators, and understanding how that culture was and how we were all standing shoulder to shoulder to help each other, and how that shapes the culture within the community that I'm in now.
Right.
It's absolutely relevant. And I think more than ever today, especially women, I think women need to be properly prepared to be able to tackle today's everyday society.
Right.
It's very important to me to be able to help my friends, people that I don't know well, just to help each other, just become better versions of ourselves. Because it's just not the shooting that we need to be good at. It's our mindset that we need to work.
100%.
We need to get those mental reps in, solidifying those neural connections to understand it's our responsibility to be proficient, not just with firearms, not just with knives, not just with our hands, but with our brains.
No, 100%, 100%. So
If that makes any sense.
It does make 100% sense. I want to kind of tie you both in together really quickly, because you're coming from securities, right? But then you shifted also and you do educating in firearms, which I actually had the privilege of watching him instruct the class. It was a 6-hour class, right?
Good time.
And for those of you that are out there and follow
You made it
Latinx,
6 hours with him?
it was raining.
Thunderstorm and a thunderstorm.
It was not the best of weather, but for you that are follow Latinxes, and do recall when I hosted the women's event with Steve, and it was absolutely wonderful. I love the way he taught on precision, right? How focus was the main thing out of everything, right? Making sure that you were focused and your eye. And I feel that a lot of people educate on specific things. It was the first arms class that I actually witnessed. But from hearing other people speaking, you kind of know that their goal was just really to get you out to shoot on the range.
Right.
But your goal was completely different. You were more focused on the education and how to get them to understand what the equipment that they had in their hand represented, which is really important. So I want you to just share with us how the shift came from being a security guard to then taking the initiative to want to start educating others as well on how to use firearms.
Right. So about 12 years ago, I got my instructor certification, nationally recognized instructor certification, multiple levels, pistol, shotgun, carbine, so on and so forth. And my mentor at the time has since passed away. He was very focused on fundamentals. We talk about fundamentals all the time. Fundamentals, that's your foundation, right? How many times in class did you probably hear me mention fundamentals, right? And it's not just when you take the time to like build it as a house, right? So your student think of them as a house, right? You build them up until they're one complete strong structure, right? You have to start with a strong foundation. You have to get into fundamentals and then work up from there. So that's what we kind of focus on my end of it is build the fundamentals because that's going to lead to your success. Good fundamentals, good success all the time. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Have you ever needed to use any of those defense instructions that you gave us in your field of duty as security?
Thankfully, no. There's other aspects to ending a situation. Using your firearm, we talked about that in class too, right? Situational awareness, presence, right? So as a security agent, we like to carry strong presence, right? So if anybody is thinking of doing anything stupid, shall we say, they'll go, that's not the place I want to do it, and then move on.
To add on to that, because I do armed security as well. I did that for a few years. I worked in a couple of active buildings. And one of the things that we become masters of body language and understanding what assault cues are. The reason why in security things don't happen very often is because we truly understand what we're looking for on a second by second basis. We're constantly obsessing on whatever little detail is going on within our environment. We understand what's in our environment, what's accessible in our environment at all times. If that breaks it down a little more definitive.
Right. What's familiar, something that stands out, right? You're not seeing every single day. That's a cue to get with, right? Again, never get hyper focused on that because sometimes that's a distraction. Right. Like I said, there's a lot of facets that go on in the security field.
How important do you feel that it is right now? I want to say in today's day and age, but in the current situation that a lot of us are seeing and witnessing in our country, how important is it for people to actually go out and get educated on how to defend themselves? So I know you don't only do self-defense with a weapon, but it's also physical, right? How to defend yourself physical or with maybe whatever might be accessible to you, if that's, the best term to use. How important do you feel it is right now for that knowledge to get out, for people to learn how to maybe defend themselves?
I think fundamentally speaking, I think before we even get to the actual byproduct of the self-defense, whatever it may be, it's the mental discipline. It's understanding to be able to recognize whatever is happening within time and space. I think we've come to a society now where we're so hyper focused on everything else that's going on in our lives. We're not understanding in real time what's really going on. Perfect example is what happened in New York City a few years ago. I remember we were seeing all the women getting punched, and you can see within the frame, and there are wide frames. The frames where you'd see a kid from a block and a half away, and you'd see him run over, punch a lady who was completely focused on her cell phone, and he'd be out of the frame in less than 5 seconds. Even on New York City subways, I know this may be a little bit sensitive for some people to hear, but we see those people that get pushed onto the subway tracks. Yes, they're victims, but are they really? Were they paying attention to their surroundings? What condition were they in? Are they really in condition white all the time. They weren't condition orange, definitely not condition yellow, or even condition red. Understanding, once again, your time and space and our awareness level and our preparedness level. It's a daily grind. It's daily repetition. We need to think of it's simple things of how we're going to dress for the day. If we have a business meeting, how are we going to dress? We're going to the gym. How are we going to dress? Same thing in how we attack every single day, no matter what discipline we're doing. Once we understand that fundamentally, once again, we're already ahead of the game, and we can prevent 99% of those things in end result.
Right. No, that's wonderfully said. It is true. We focus like when we're driving, we have to pay attention to our surroundings, right? Who is coming from what direction? Is it our turn? Is it whose turn is it, so we can keep safe? And then when we're outside of a vehicle, we don't realize that our body too is a vehicle, right? So
Absolutely.
we should have the same attention, right? Where are we going? What is ahead? And that's something like me. I raised my kids, as a single mom in New York City, and I would always tell them, look up to the corner, like keep your vision up and far ahead so that you can see what might be coming around, the corner. Always be prepared. And as a single mom, I'm born and raised in New York City, the concrete jungle. It's a different lifestyle over there. And people might go over there because they want to go for vacation. But when you're born and raised there, you know a little bit of what's happening in the background, right? What's backstage, right? What's VIP, right? And raising your kids is the same thing as a single mom. I was always telling them, be aware of your surroundings when you walk to a building. Try to find the little mirrors that are stationed at corners to see what's around the corner. And it's pretty sad to be in New York City and have to, but it's always a matter of creating that awareness. So I love that you are educating people in that, because that is the first line of defense. Is protecting yourself first instead of having other people protect you, right? Which unfortunately a lot of people.
It's our own responsibility to be the protector. You look at just the average police response, law enforcement response. Where the area used to come from, it was 8 minutes. All it takes is 30 seconds for something catastrophic to happen to you. Do we, even if something does catastrophically happen to ourselves, even a family member, a friend, okay, are we then actually prepared to be able to service our loved one where it is? Can we actually render any type of aid medically? Do we have any of that type of training? Okay, we have our firearm, we got our permit to carry, we got this and this, but do we not understand what after action report is? Once again, we're back to the mindset. We're back to the preparedness. Do we put the work in to be able to be that ultimate protector and first responder? Because we are our ultimate first responder.
100%. I think a lot of people walk around in a daze not realizing that, right? That they have to watch their steps first. So Steve, because you have your security company, right? I'm sure you have your staff. Is there a specific way that you train your staff? Because I'm sure that they don't have the experience of firearms and self-defense that you have. So when you have someone in your team, how is it that you're training them where they might not be as experienced as you, but they'll be able to make decisions? I know you mentioned earlier, it comes down to mind, right? So making the right decisions so that they can protect themselves as well as whoever they have to protect. Because I always feel you have to protect yourself first so you can protect others. Right? Because people are depending on you. So in everything,
you're no good if you're dead.
we need you, right? We need you to come and save
You're no good if you're dead. No, what we've established with the company setup is we have a multi-tier training level for our employees, and it's above and beyond the minimums. We already start with above and beyond with the minimums the state requires, which is pretty low to begin with. And then we've gone up to we've got 4 tier levels of training and instruction. Carl and I have worked together to come up with the exact standards that we want to use. And we've actually, like our top tier guys, that would be engagement, executive protection, experience up and beyond what your law enforcement in the state would have. Pretty much you're just below top tier military. It's pretty close to the standards. So
we believe within Arch and Defensive Innovations, when it comes down to our agents, well, we have executive level agents. We have agents just below that, which are uniformed, and we have agents below that, which are just plain average. average kind of
The average Joe.
average Joe security. Then we have our armed security. For us, this is a statement that people within the industry probably don't want to really recognize, but your previous affiliation or employment has no bearing on your capability as of today. We believe in things called that's called the baseline. What is your capability as of today? I train law enforcement. I've trained ex-law enforcement. I've trained military. I've trained active military. And have guys come to my class, yes, I can do this, I can do that. When I actually get them out and looking for them to actually perform, most of the time they underperform because they believe what they did 20 years ago, what they did even 5 years ago when they were active, that they still have the same capabilities today. Now, what sets Arch Protective Services aside, we have a measured repeatability for every single one of our agents. They can perform at any given time, whether they have been to the range or not to the range, because they understand that responsibility and what their baselines really are.
That's perfectly said. That's wonderful. So now someone that doesn't have that knowledge or that training, let's say you walk into me, like my household, right? I obviously don't have these skills, and not everyone has the mindset. I might have a little bit of mindset, because I created that and try to instill that in my kids. But other people don't have the mindset of how to be aware and how to protect. How do you go about educating someone? Maybe a new client came up and they just want to use like their arm that had been sitting in a box with dust. How do you start cultivating in them that mindset? Because they do have to have the mindset to be able to absorb the information that you're going to be giving them.
Fundamentally speaking, Steve and I, and also our co-instructor, Mike and Alex, we all operate on the same baseline as far as our relationships with our students. We build a solid relationship with them so we understand who they are. We understand what motivates them, okay? And then we understand where the real person is and where the ego takes over.
Right.
When we can actually get somebody, we start peeling the onion back within a person and have that self-reflection going on. And then once they understand what humility is, there's only one direction to go. Okay. And the curriculum how it's been carefully crafted brings it to the surface every single time. It's wonderful to watch. It's wonderful to watch people grow by the minute when we're training them, because we don't really need to even say much, but just guide them throughout the day with solid reinforcement, with self-reflection. We tell our students, like we'll have anywhere from 8 to 10 students on the line. It could be anywhere from our development class to our performance pistol classes to our performance immersion class, whatever it may be. And we tell students, this is your time to be selfish. You're not here competing with anybody but yourself. It's you versus you. You're not here to win any trophies. You're not anything. This is about your self-development. And when people start finding, you see them start to find that as the day goes on through the training curriculum. And like I said, it's chemistry that's just unmatched. It's magic. It really is. I don't know if you can build on that a little bit more, Steve.
Yeah, I mean, you have to read the student, and it's almost like you're teaching a kid, right? How to do something basic. You want to figure out what motivates them. You can't be too aggressive with them because ego does kick in. It's a huge problem. And then you just want to find those points, guide them through it, point them in that direction, let them progress through. If they fail, fantastic. They have that starting point again, and then just redirect it again. They almost always find their own path. We just guide them.
And we've made a strong connection with our students too, because we're no different than they are. We're really not. I'm not prior military. I'm not prior law enforcement. Our other two instructors are, but Steve and I are not. We're able to connect with them on a level that they can understand. The industry, even the training industry as a whole, the firearms training industry, we're gonna go back to that ego. It's very ego driven.
Right.
It very much is. Now I make a joke because any one of us can go any one of the gun ranges around here at gun stores. How many smiles do you see going on when you walk in? it's kind of a, yeah, it's like every,
like walking into the bar.
yeah.
Yeah.
It is. It's something I don't understand. I never understood it. Why there has to be this mask
Gatekeeping.
that needs to, or gatekeeping that needs to be there. Why can't we just start with a smile and start the conversation with common ground? Because we're no different. We're all going to the same place one day, aren't we? The only thing that separates us is ourselves. So basically what I'm saying is guys like Steve and I, who are just regular guys that become masters of our tool, have a unique way to be able to reach the average person, whether it be men and women. Women are my favorite students. I love women. I love women. I love women.
Are the largest
Once again,
growing
we're talking
group in the
about
finance
ego
industry.
again. I've told you this story too about this woman that came in to train with me 2.5 years ago. I use her as an example. Steve's heard the story 10 times. I'm sure Jeannie's told the story. And she came into one of my basic classes. She went and bought one of the smallest guns on the market because she thought it was pretty. She had no idea what she was doing. She goes, listen, I need training. She booked it online through the place I was working at. I need training. I want to get my concealed carry permit. I was like, oh boy, we got a lot of work to do. She's like, no, I really want to learn. She goes, oh, by the way, I'm a jiu-jitsu instructor. I said, well, you're already like, you got some hands that are probably could do some stuff. And she's like, yeah, I consider it deadly with my hands. I'm like, well, what do you need a gun for? She goes, well, when I can't handle it. So she impressed me because she understood what consistency was. Coming from the martial arts background, she understood that getting the reps in meant the world. She understood the whole trajectory of her training. She understood the investment. She understood the time investment. She understood the financial investment. She understood the moral investment. And she understood the legal investment. And then we have 3 key concepts that she understood. She understood your preparedness, your awareness, your willingness. She obtained her permit to carry in New Jersey, which is the most difficult states in this country to get your permit, in 4 months. A little 112-pound Orthodox Jewish woman. Hannah. I won't give her last name out. I love her to death. I still have her today, and she's a model. She's a model of what consistency and commitment is. And that's what we're looking for. We're looking for that within Arch Protective Services, and we're looking for that in Defensive Innovation Farm.
Why is it harder in New Jersey?
New Jersey? New Jersey has a fun way of throwing lots of roadblocks up for the average citizen, not to mention they make it very expensive.
Okay.
Steve's actually going through with it right now.
Right.
Yeah. The process is
Process of bureaucracy. is
bureaucracy,
greater and
convoluted. It's another one.
Right.
Confusing. We can go on and on and on with the different labels we can throw on there. But New Jersey has a shooting qualification, unlike Pennsylvania, which we can dive into that one a little bit later. New Jersey has a minimum level shooting qualification. You have to score either an 8% or 40 out of 50 rounds from a distance of 3 yards to 15 yards with magazine changes. So someone who just bought a pistol a week or 2 ago can't just go and take the class and expect to be able to shoot qualify. So it takes a level of training. There's several other states that does follow the same trajectory within their qualification process to turn the concealed carry permit or permit to carry. So yes, New Jersey is a little more difficult and expensive. It's New Jersey.
So let me quickly ask you. So this client of yours, Hannah, right? She came in and she already has self-defense. I always hear in women when I was trying to invite women to the event with Steve, a lot of them were like, no, I don't want to touch a gun. It's scary, right? How would you encourage someone like that? Like we hear it a lot, people are scared to touch guns for any specific reason. It could be a trauma, past trauma,
Sure.
right? Because I was when I went Steve, I talked to Steve, I explained to him one of my traumas, right? I had a loved one that passed away. Through crime and force with a weapon, right? So I actually told him, I was like, I don't want to touch it at first because, I needed to detach myself from what that was and my memory. And his words were very powerful and encouraging to me. And that's why I went forward with bringing up the event. So how do you encourage someone that will come and that they want to learn, but they have this fear of just trying to, the fear creates a mental block.
Right.
Right. So how do you encourage them so they can kind of put their guard down and see the benefit of them learning this skill?
So each individual will address their trauma differently, right? Again, you never want to push them, right? They always have to work at their own pace, right? Never anybody who's had any type of trauma with regards to firearms. Yeah, if you angle them wrong, you've ruined them forever, and they'll never want to do it ever. You just ruined that person, right? For something that they could become very good at. A friend of ours has had some trauma with firearms, and she came to me and asked if I could help her out and teach her. She'd never shot before. And what we found is slow and steady, and also the psychological effects of firearm going off. The noise creates a lot of trauma for the senses. If you can reduce the noise right away, it almost puts the firearm into a situation almost like for lack of a better term, it's like a toy almost, right? It's tolerable. So we use suppressors to reduce the sound of the report, and stuff like that to reduce the initial sensory overload for somebody who's dealt with trauma with regards to firearms. And again, it's just everything. It's based on the individual, and you just have to understand their cues, when to step forward, when to come back, and just be understanding with them. And sometimes you just have to stop and be like, we'll do it another day. You've had enough for today. Come back. Yep. We'll come back next weekend.
The human connection is just such a huge part of it, and being able to find someone's comfort level with you as an instructor. And I don't like using that word.
Right.
I don't. I think that elevates me to a place that I don't think I should. I don't think I ever am. All I am is a guy. I'm just a guy. That's all I am. And I'm instructor. When I think of instructor, I think of I don't know. I think of karate instructor or something. I don't know. That's what I think of. Yeah, firearms instructor? No. I'm a guy. What I found that on a different perception than Steve, to be able to help somebody gain that confidence who may have had past trauma or just been ill-informed, been disciplined, or whatever it may be. We offer many different classes depending on what people are looking for. I had actually a local BNI member, her mother, booked a class with me a month and a half ago, Michaela's mom, Donna. And I went to Donna's house, and she's like, "Oh, I bought this gun. I don't know anything about it. I'm really scared to hold it. What can you do for me?" So one of the abilities as a USCC instructor that I'm able to do, unlike the NRA, is I'm able to craft curriculum to the students' needs. I pride myself in to be able to teach somebody how they learn, not learn how I teach.
Really?
And I think that's some problems with some other institutions that are out there. It's just like, I do this, 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 and this. If they don't get it, they fail. No, I don't agree with that. I believe there's always a path to somebody. So it allows me to craft that curriculum to truly educate somebody about their platform. And I equate that to a point is like, what makes a carpenter a master of what he's doing? He's a master of his tool. He understands his tool. He understands how it functions. I do have this little simple 3D animated video that I play of a semi-automatic firearm and all the internals and how they function. When you understand your tool, you're taking the taboo out. Problem is, most people get their information from televisions or from movies or from what their buddy said and whatnot. And what's the percentage on that being right and wrong? Probably 98th, 99th percentile. They're truly not educated. And when people are educated like anything else, you understand something, then it gives you more of the will to approach it. And it doesn't matter if I need, because that class that I runs about 4 hours. I've been in homes for 8 to 9 hours. I take my time. That is my duty as a guide, to make sure that that student has the proper training, proper understanding, and confidence once we're done with the training. And once my signature is on their certification, they're a reflection of me. So it's very important to me that I reach each and every client that we have. And I've been pretty successful so far. And I think that human connection, once again, circling back, talking about just being a guy. I'm just a dude. I'm just a dude. I used to be in construction. I'm married. I have kids. I'm just like you. We're no different. Start the conversation on that common ground. If we start it with us being separated by, oh, I'm an instructor, you're not, the learning process already ended. And I think that's a disparity within the industry, and that's where ego comes in. And that's where guys like myself, Mike Jennis, my co-instructor, Alex, active duty special ops guy, can't give his last name, and we have Steve here. We all truly understand that. And we've created such a collective of like-minded protectors already that we're so excited to see what comes next. We're looking forward to just see anybody who's willing to listen, willing to learn, and bring our mindset.
So I know that you have an event coming up. For
Yes.
women, right?
Yes,
Can you share a little bit of that event?
absolutely.
And I know that you have multiple parts to that
Yes.
event, right? So it's kind of going to lead up to what is the weapons, is that correct?
It's there's gonna be some weapons there. Yeah,
So I understand you're starting off with the physical, right? Is that
No, the first one is all gonna be like it's about situation awareness. It's about the mental repetitions
okay?
and the
Okay.
mental awareness and the preparedness and the willingness.
Mhm.
It's gonna be primarily an hour and a half on situational awareness.
Okay. And
Yeah.
would you say that it's important for them to know how their body functions in order for them to not master, because it takes years to master, and using a weapon and an arm, right?
Yes.
Would you say that you're going to teach them, you can teach them as well how their body should be, like what they should be feeding in their body? Because like I come from fitness. I was a power lifter at one point, right? So I remember that with powerlifting, it wasn't about the weight on the bar. It was about what we were feeding in our body. Would you say that it's similar? Because I know you got to be ready for when,
Identical.
yeah. So did you create that awareness of them, how to pay attention to where their body's positioned so that, there's not a fail, if that's wrong? So,
When I got into the 4 years ago, like I'm the baby out of everyone here. I realized that there was a serious deficiency within the industry as well. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of instructors that have not continued their education, and they're kind of stuck in area of yesterday.
right.
The industry, like anything else, is evolved. Everything down to our technology evolving every day. So is the industry within the pistol shooting. So I was able to find a very, very solidified connection between the muscular skeletal structure and bolstering proficiency with shooting. Now, this has already been going on within the special operations community of our military for over 20 years. The only other institution that's been getting this training would be like SWAT operators. Your local cops weren't really getting it. Your state cops weren't really getting it. It was just the elite of the elite getting it. Once I started learning about that connection and I started training with the SEALs and the MARSOC guys, I was like, wait a second. All right, I'm taking this, I'm putting it together, I'm married. Okay. So one of the fundamental foundational thing that I teach people before they even pick a gun is how to engage 13 muscles in their body and what they should be feeling. Okay. Once you understand that, and then when we have follow-through, we're talking about grip, and we're talking about presentation, sight alignment, trigger control, that other stuff. We really break it down on a scientific level for people to understand, because it's simple. It's simple, but we're humans. We love to complicate everything. It's actually simple. We use our body in its natural state. We use it naturally, and yes, just like weightlifting, it's all about fun. Yeah. Isn't that everything in life, though? Isn't that everything in life?
There it is.
That's what I'm saying.
There it is.
Everything equates. everything equates.
You're going to be hosting. What is the event? What does it entail? What do women need in order to come and be a part of this event that you're hosting?
Okay, so we're holding the event starting next Thursday, January 22nd, at Signature Health and Fitness in Broadheadsville on 209. We're going to be doing running a different theme every month. So the first month for 2 hours, an hour and a half, 2 hours, we're going to talk all about situational awareness. We're going to talk about the hard facts of, violence against women. There's going to be stuff that people aren't going to want to hear, but it's definitely. And then we're going to talk about preparing the mind for that preparedness and the awareness and the willingness to understand what the responsibilities are as a protector. We're going to have young moms in there. We're going to have grandmothers in there. We're going to have daughters in there. All those things. You know what I mean? And then the second month, we're gonna segue into a little bit of home defense. And then we'll talk a little bit about your rights and responsibilities in home defense, and understand that what you can and can't do. Understanding your egress points, understanding your weak access points, your strong access points. We actually run a full home defense class within Defensive Innovations, where I come to your home and I do a full home defense audit. And I identify all your weak access points and I teach you how to fortify it. And then we go inside, we do a PowerPoint. Just kind of what we're going to be doing at the women's thing, but I do it in somebody's home, preferably the whole family and kids and everybody. And I go through a PowerPoint presentation, more hard facts, good tidbits to know. And then what I'll do is I'll do an evacuation program plan. I'll do a fire drill plan, and I'll do a plan where the gun owners in the house, if they need to, within an active shooter situation or an active home invasion, somebody with firearm, I can teach them how to move through a home safely with firearms to be able to neutralize the active deadly threat. Yeah, it's about a 6 to 7 hour. I'm going to do a little bit of that in the home defense. That's why I wanted to talk about that. And then the following month, we're going to do a little bit of basic firearms training in the classroom safely with training pistols. I want to do a little bit of close quarter battle. I was telling you about that in our one-on-one, teaching people how to move through center fed rooms and fed rooms. If needed, hopefully we never have to do this, but it's just good. You have the skills, just muzzle awareness, understand how to communicate non-verbally. And then I plan on doing a hand-to-hand combative. So I have a jiu-jitsu instructor who's willing to come in. And also one of the guys from SEOC, hoping he comes. And then we're going to do a little bit of edged weapons training, and every month do something different. And also I'm looking at putting together events for the ladies at Double Eagle, so we can get some live fire training.
So this is a plan for a month to month.
Every month. With the women. Third Thursday of every month.
And what's it called?
Grace and Grit.
There you go.
Grace and Grit. And can you share where they can get that information?
Yes, absolutely. Defensive Innovations, firearmstraining.com. You're going to go under training programs, and you'll see it's about the 5th class below, Grace and Grit. You can't miss it. It's got a nice little description of what we're offering, and you can. We also offer Afterpay, which is great. You can sign up monthly per class, or you can do subscription 4 months a year. However you want to do it. Or if you have any more questions, feel free to email us, give us a call. Whatever you want to do, we'll do the best we can to answer all questions. My number is 908-675-2647. I'm always a valued resource for my students. Thank you.
That's wonderful. What is the youngest age that you would train?
14 years.
14 years old.
Yes. I highly encourage young college girls. Now, this is a really crazy fact. We all know that dad that sent their brand new daughter to freshman year and brought him with a can of mace. So gave her some pepper spray, and hasn't gotten any training whatsoever. Okay, and they stuck it in the bottom of their purse. They don't know where it is. They actually understand how to train and deploy that. We're going to be offering that as well.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, we're trying to do as much as we possibly can, to give people, those real world application skills. What is really relevant today.
Right. So you said that you train people in the home as well, right?
Yes.
So anyone that is in their house that is looking to learn this self-defense, any kind of skill, they can reach out to you as well.
They can sign right up on Defensive Innovations, firearmstraining.com under training programs. they book a class, I reach out to them, we set up a date that's most convenient for them, and let's have fun.
Yeah.
They really enjoy it.
Yeah, well, definitely, we need to get out here and we need to learn and educate ourselves in these specific skills. Like we said, we know what's coming tomorrow, right? But it's always to be prepared than unprepared, right? Especially with the right knowledge and information. And I think you're both absolutely wonderful with the knowledge that you have to offer. And I would love to get in and do some training with you as well. I know that I saw Steve Pratty do it. So I want to ask that if you guys are interested in reaching out to them, setting up training, please follow their instructions and go into one. I am going to share their information also on the link when I repost it. So you're more than welcome to reach out to them. You know what? Have like a family event where they can all gain this knowledge and information. So I do want to thank you guys for being here.
Thank you for having us.
You are both absolutely wonderful and amazing. And I'm so glad that all of you are logging on. So remember, this is Latin Nexus. So say bye to everyone in Latin Nexus. And I know you'll be seeing them and they'll be seeing you in a very near future. So I want to thank you all for logging into Latin Nexus show with Jeannie Ruiz. I'm your host, and we're here on the PA Empowerment. I am going to ask that if you saw this as being very valuable, please do share, like it, and don't forget to subscribe, because this is how we get our reach further out to PA. So once again, this is Steve Pratty and Carl. Please make sure that you reach out to them. Like I said, I'll share their information, and you're more than welcome to reach out to them and schedule that specific training that you know you need for your family and your household. I love you guys. Please stay safe out there. Jeannie Ruiz with Latin Nexus. Thank you.